The microwave dinner was spinning in its plastic prison when my phone buzzed. Salisbury steak, mashed potatoes that looked like wet cement, and green beans that had probably never seen a farm. This was my life now. 43 years old, eating processed garbage while my wife lived her best life somewhere else. At Emma's, be late tonight. Don't wait up. Emma, my wife's sister. The same Emma who'd been giving Claire the cold shoulder for the past 6 months after some family drama I'd stopped caring about. The same Emma who lived 20 minutes away but somehow required Claire to stay out until midnight every Tuesday and Thursday. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. I stared at the text, my fork halfway to my mouth. The Salisbury steak tasted like cardboard mixed with regret. Either my wife was lying about where she was or she was the world's most dedicated sister, suddenly healing family wounds at very convenient times. Too busy tonight, I typed back, having dinner with someone important. The response came back in 30 seconds. What? Who? I smiled for the first time in weeks. You'll see. 20 minutes later, I was dialing Emma's number. She picked up on the second ring. Jake, is everything okay? Emma, I need to ask you something and I need you to be completely honest with me. A pause. Okay. When was the last time Claire was actually at your house? The silence stretched so long I thought the call had dropped. Then Emma's voice came back tight with something that sounded like relief. Jake. Claire hasn't been to my house in 6 months. Not since we had that fight about Mom's wedding ring. I thought you knew that. The microwave dinner suddenly tasted even worse. She's been telling me she's at your place twice a week. Oh, Jake, Emma's voice cracked. I'm so sorry. I had no idea she was using me as an alibi. Emma, I need a favor, a big one, anything. Can you come over here right now? And can you call Claire from my phone in exactly 15 minutes and tell her you need to see her immediately? Family emergency. Emma was quiet for a moment. You want to catch her in a lie. I want to catch her in everything. I'll be there in 10 minutes. Emma arrived with a bottle of wine and a grim expression. She was younger than Claire by 3 years, with the same dark hair but sharper features. Where Claire had softened with age and comfort, Emma had stayed lean and focused. She worked as a paralegal downtown and had never married, which Claire constantly reminded everyone about at family gatherings. How long have you suspected? Emma asked, setting the wine on my kitchen counter. Honestly, months, the late nights, the new clothes, the way she started caring about her appearance again after 15 years of sweatpants. But I kept telling myself I was being paranoid. You weren't being paranoid? Emma pulled out her phone. Jake, there's something else you should know. I hired a private investigator 3 weeks ago. I stared at her. What? After I realized Claire was using me as her cover story, I got angry. Really angry. So I hired someone to follow her. Emma pulled a manila envelope from her purse. I was going to confront her myself, but this might be better. My hands shook as I opened the envelope. Photos spilled out. Claire's car at a downtown motel. Claire walking into the motel with a man I recognized, Derek Hoffman, her colleague from the real estate office. Claire and Derek at restaurants I'd never been to, holding hands across tables, kissing in parking lots. There are receipts, too, Emma said quietly. Hotel rooms, dinners, even a weekend trip to Chicago last month when she told you she was at that real estate conference. She was at a conference, just not the kind she claimed. Emma checked her watch. It's time. She dialed Claw's number from my phone. I put it on speaker. Jake, what's wrong? You never call. Claire, it's Emma. I'm using Jake's phone because mine died. I need you to come over here right now. It's about Mom. Mom, what happened? Is she okay? Just come over to Jake's house. I'm here now. It's complicated and I can't explain over the phone. I'm 20 minutes away. I'll be right there. Emma hung up and looked at me. She said, 20 minutes? Want to bet she makes it in 15? We used the time to set the scene. Emma lit candles on my dining room table, opened the wine, and we sat close together, talking quietly. To anyone walking in, it would look intimate, romantic even. You know this is going to destroy your relationship with your sister, I said. Emma's jaw tightened. She destroyed it first when she decided to use me as her cover story. I've been getting calls from your neighbors asking how Claire is doing, telling me they hope our family issues work out. I had no idea what they were talking about until now. She's been telling people we're having family problems. Apparently, it's the perfect cover. She's the devoted sister helping her troubled sibling through a difficult time. Meanwhile, she's screwing Derek Hoffman at the Riverside Motel twice a week. The front door slammed open 14 minutes later. Emma, Jake, what's going on? Claire appeared in the dining room doorway, her face flushed from rushing. She looked good, better than she had in years. New haircut, expensive jacket, makeup perfectly applied, even though it was almost 900 p.m. on a Thursday night. This was not a woman who'd been having a quiet evening at her sister's house. She stopped when she saw us sitting together. The candles, the wine glasses. What is this? Emma stood up slowly. Her voice was ice cold when she spoke. Hello, Claire. How was Derek tonight? The color drained from Claire's face. What are you talking about? I'm talking about the fact that you've been using me as your alibi for the past 6 months while you sleep with your coworker at cheap motel. Emma's voice never rose, but each word hit like a physical blow. Claire's mouth opened and closed like a fish. I don't know what you think you know, but I know everything. I stood up and spread the photos across the table. The Riverside Motel, Tuesday and Thursday nights. Antonio's restaurant on 5th Street, the Marriott in Chicago last month. Should I keep going? Claire stared at the photos, her face cycling through shock, fear, and then something that looked almost like relief. How long have you known? Long enough. I picked up one of the photos, Claire and Derek kissing in his car. The question is, how long did you think you could keep lying to me? Jake, I can explain. Explain what? That you've been cheating on me for months? That you've been using your sister as an alibi? That you've been telling the neighbors we're having family problems to cover your tracks? Claire looked at Emma with something approaching hatred. You hired someone to follow me. You made me an accessory to your affair, Emma shot back. Did you think I wouldn't find out eventually? Did you think I'd just let you keep using me? This is between Jake and me. You had no right. I had every right. Emma's composure finally cracked. You involved me the moment you started telling people you were at my house. You think I enjoyed having neighbors ask me how I was doing with our family crisis? You think I liked being part of your web of lies? Claire's phone buzzed. She glanced at it instinctively and her face went white. That's Derek, isn't it? I said. Wondering where you are. Wondering why you rushed out of wherever you really were tonight. Claire didn't answer, but she didn't need to. The guilt was written across her face in bold letters. Here's what's going to happen, I continued, surprised by how calm I sounded. Tomorrow morning you're going to call a lawyer. We're getting divorced. You can have whatever the court says you're entitled to, but don't expect me to make this easy. Jake, please, can we talk about this privately? The time for private conversations was before you started sleeping with Derek. Now we do this in front of witnesses. Emma sat back down and poured herself more wine. Claire, I want you to know that I'll be testifying in Jake's divorce proceedings about the lies, the alibi, all of it. You can't do that. I'm your sister. You were my sister. Sisters don't use each other as cover stories for affairs. Claire's phone buzzed again. This time she answered it. Derek, I can't talk right now. We could hear his voice through the phone, panicked and high-pitched. Claire, what's going on? You left so fast. Claire hung up and looked at both of us. You planned this, both of you. We planned to catch you in your lies. I said, the affair was all you. How long? Claire asked quietly. How long? What? How long have you two been? She gestured at the candles, the wine. Emma laughed sharp and bitter. You think Jake and I are having an affair? You think this is some kind of revenge sleeping? It looks pretty cozy. This is what planning looks like, Claire. This is what happens when people work together honestly instead of sneaking around behind each other's backs. I picked up the photos and put them back in the envelope. You need to leave. This is my house too, not anymore. My lawyer will be in touch about the details, but as of right now, you're not welcome here. Claire looked around the dining room like she was seeing it for the first time. 15 years, Jake. 15 years of marriage, and you're throwing it away over this? I'm not throwing anything away. You already did that. She grabbed her purse and headed for the door. At the last second, she turned back. You'll regret this, both of you. The only thing I regret, Emma said, is not telling Jake sooner. The door slammed behind Claire and the house fell silent except for the sound of her car starting in the driveway. Emma and I sat in the candlelight, not speaking until we heard Claire's car disappear down the street. So, Emma said finally, that went well. Better than I expected, honestly. What now? I blew out the candles and started clearing the wine glasses. Now the real fun begins. The next morning I woke up in my own bed for what I knew would be one of the last times. Claire hadn't come home, which answered the question of where her loyalties lay. I made coffee in my kitchen, ate breakfast at my table, and enjoyed the silence of my house while I still could. By 10 a.m., I was sitting in the office of Margaret Chen, the best divorce attorney in town. She was a small woman with steel-gray hair and the kind of smile that made opposing counsel nervous. Mr. Morrison, I've reviewed the materials you sent over this morning, the photographs, the receipts, the timeline your sister-in-law provided. This is quite comprehensive. Emma was very thorough indeed. Now let's talk about what you want from this divorce. I want her to understand that actions have consequences. Margaret raised an eyebrow. That's not a legal strategy, Mr. Morrison. That's an emotional response. What do you want in concrete terms? I thought about it. I want the house. I want my business protected. And I want her to know that she can't just walk away from this without paying a price. The adultery will help with the property division, especially in a state like ours. The fact that she's been deceptive about finances. These hotel receipts show expensive spending that wasn't disclosed to you. That's also relevant. What about Derek? What about him? Can we go after him too? Margaret's smile turned predatory. Alienation of affection is still actionable in this state, though it's rarely pursued. If you want to make Derek Hoffman's life difficult, we can certainly explore that option. I want to explore every option. That's what I like to hear. By noon, I was back home packing Claire's belongings into boxes. I wasn't being vindictive. I folded everything neatly, wrapped her picture frames in newspaper, treated her possessions with more care than she'd treated our marriage, but I wanted her stuff out of my house. Emma showed up around 2 with coffee and sandwiches. How did it go with the lawyer? Better than expected. Apparently adultery still matters in divorce court. Good. Emma handed me a sandwich. I brought turkey and Swiss. Figured you probably hadn't eaten. You figured right. I took a bite and realized I was starving. Emma, I need to ask you something. Shoot. Why are you helping me? I mean, really, she's your sister. Emma was quiet for a long moment, folding one of Claire's sweaters with unnecessary precision. You want the honest answer? Always, because I've watched her treat you like garbage for years and I was tired of pretending it was okay. Emma's voice was steady, but there was anger underneath. The way she talked about you at family dinners, the jokes at your expense, the constant criticism, and you just took it. I took it because I loved her. I know. That's what made it worse. Emma sealed up the box of sweaters and started on Claire's jewelry. She had a good man who loved her, and she treated you like an inconvenience. Then she dragged me into her lies, and that was the last straw. So this is revenge for you too. This is justice for both of us. My phone rang. Claire's name on the screen. Let it go to voicemail, Emma suggested. No, I want to hear what she has to say, I answered. Hello, Claire. Jake, we need to talk. We talked last night. I think we covered everything. I mean, really talk about our marriage, about fixing this. There's nothing to fix. You broke it beyond repair. That's not true. People work through infidelity all the time. We can go to counseling. We can, Claire, I'm packing your belongings right now. They'll be in the garage whenever you want to pick them up. Silence on the other end. Then you can't just throw away 15 years. You already did that. I'm just acknowledging reality. Where am I supposed to go? That's not my problem anymore. Maybe Derek has some suggestions. Jake, please. I hung up and turned off my phone. That was cold, Emma observed. That was honest. We spent the rest of the afternoon packing. Claire owned more stuff than I'd realized. Closets full of clothes she never wore, drawers full of jewelry I'd never seen her put on, boxes of books she'd never read. It was like discovering I'd been married to a stranger. Around 5, Emma's phone rang. It's Claire, she said, showing me the screen. Answer it. Emma put it on speaker. Hello, Claire. Emma, I need to talk to you privately. I don't think we have anything to discuss. I'm your sister. Doesn't that mean anything to you? It meant something before you made me an unwitting accomplice to your affair. I never meant for you to get involved, but you did involve me. Every time you told Jake you were at my house, you involved me. Every time you used me as an alibi, you made me part of your lies. I was trying to protect everyone. Emma's laugh was bitter. You were trying to protect yourself. There's a difference. Emma, please, I made a mistake, but I'm still your sister. My sister wouldn't have done what you did, so that's it. You're choosing him over family. I'm choosing honesty over lies. I'm choosing the person who got hurt over the person who did the hurting. Claire was quiet for a moment. You'll regret this. The only thing I regret is not seeing who you really were sooner. Claire hung up. Emma stared at her phone for a moment, then put it away. You okay? I asked. I will be. She sealed up another box. Jake, there's something else. What? I may have mentioned Claire's situation to a few people. I stopped packing. What kind of people? Well, you know how I work at the law firm downtown. And you know how lawyers talk to other lawyers. Emma, what did you do? I may have mentioned to my boss that Claire Hoffman was having an affair with her business partner. And my boss may have mentioned it to his wife. And his wife may be on the school board with Derek's wife. I stared at her. Derek's wife knows as of this morning. Yes. Jesus, Emma, it gets better. Derek's wife called me this afternoon. Apparently, she's known about Derek's affairs for years, but she's never had proof before. She wants to meet with us. With us? She has information about Derek that she thinks you'll find interesting, financial information. I sat down on the bed surrounded by boxes of Claire's belongings. This is getting complicated. This is getting thorough, Emma corrected. If Claire and Derek want to blow up 2 marriages, they get to deal with the consequences from both sides. What's Derek's wife like? Her name is Patricia. She's a high school principal. Been married to Derek for 12 years, no kids, and according to my boss's wife, she's been waiting for an opportunity like this for a long time. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. This is Patricia Hoffman. Emma gave me your number. We should meet. I have information you need. I showed Emma the text. Well, she said, looks like Claire and Derek just made 2 more enemies. When does it end, Emma? When they understand that actions have consequences, when they realize that they can't just hurt people and walk away clean. I looked around at the boxes, at the evidence of a marriage being dismantled piece by piece. You know what the worst part is? What? I still love her. Even after everything, part of me still loves the woman I married. Emma's expression softened. I know. That's what makes you a good person. It's also what she counted on. What do you mean? She thought you'd never leave? She thought you'd put up with anything to keep the marriage together. She underestimated you. Or maybe I underestimated myself. Emma smiled. Maybe you did. My phone rang again. This time it was Derek. Answer it, Emma said. Let's see what he has to say. I picked up Derek. Jake, we need to talk, do we? Man-to-man about this situation. What situation is that? Come on, Jake, we're both adults here. Adults don't sleep with other people's wives, Derek. Look, I know you're upset. Upset? I laughed. Derek, I'm not upset. Upset is what you feel when your team loses a game. This is something else entirely. What do you want? Money? I don't want your money, Derek. Then what? I looked at Emma, who was listening with obvious interest. I want you to understand that there are consequences for what you've done to my marriage, to your marriage, to both our families. My marriage is my business, not anymore. Not when you made it my business by sleeping with my wife. Derek was quiet for a moment. Jake, I think you should know that Claire and we're serious about each other. Congratulations, we're going to be together officially. Good for you, I hope you're very happy. You're taking this awfully well. Derek, let me explain something to you. A woman who will cheat on her husband will cheat on her boyfriend. A woman who will lie to her family will lie to you. You think you won some kind of prize, but what you actually won is a woman who's proven she can't be trusted. Claire's not like that. Claire's exactly like that. You just haven't figured it out yet. I hung up and turned to Emma. Think he believed me? I think he's about to find out whether you're right. We finished packing as the sun went down, box after box of a life I thought I knew. A marriage I thought was solid. By the time we were done, the house felt different, emptier, but also cleaner somehow. What now? Emma asked. Now we meet with Patricia Hoffman and see what she knows about her husband's finances. And then we make sure Derek and Claire understand that they picked the wrong people to screw over. Emma smiled. I like the sound of that, Emma. Yeah, thank you for everything. Thank you for letting me help. I've been wanting to take Claire down a peg for years, just a peg. Emma's smile turned dangerous. Well, maybe more than a peg. Patricia Hoffman was not what I expected. I'd pictured Derek's wife as some mousy, downtrodden woman who'd been beaten down by years of her husband's infidelity. Instead, the woman who walked into the coffee shop Saturday morning was tall, elegant, and carried herself with the authority of someone who spent her days managing teenagers and faculty. She was also furious. Mr. Morrison, she said, extending a firm handshake. Thank you for meeting with me. Call me Jake, and this is Emma. Patricia nodded to Emma, the sister-in-law who hired the private investigator. Smart thinking. We found a corner table away from the Saturday morning crowd. Patricia ordered black coffee and got straight to business. How long have you known about the affair? Confirmed, 2 days. Suspected months. I've known about Derek's affairs for 3 years, Patricia said matter-of-factly. This isn't his first. Emma leaned forward. Then why didn't you leave him? Because I was waiting for the right opportunity. Derek thinks he's smarter than he is. He's been hiding assets, lying about income, setting up accounts I'm not supposed to know about. I've been documenting everything. She pulled out a tablet and opened a spreadsheet. Derek makes about $200,000 a year selling real estate. He's declared about 60% of that on our tax returns. I stared at the numbers. He's been cheating on his taxes extensively. He's got unreported cash transactions, fake business expenses, hidden accounts. I've been building a case for years. Why tell us this? Patricia's smile was cold. Because Derek thinks he's going to leave me for your wife. He thinks he's going to take half our assets and start fresh with Claire. What he doesn't know is that I've already talked to the IRS. Emma whistled low. You turned in your own husband? I turned in a tax cheat who happens to be married to me. There's a difference. What does this mean for Claire? I asked. It means that when Derek's world comes crashing down, she's going to be collateral damage. The IRS doesn't care about your marriage problems, but they care very much about unreported income. Patricia scrolled through more documents on her tablet. Derek's been taking Claire on expensive trips, buying her jewelry, paying for hotel rooms, all with money he didn't report to the government. So Claire's been benefiting from tax evasion. Unknowingly, probably, but that won't matter to the IRS. I sat back in my chair, processing this information. Patricia, what do you want from us? I want Derek to pay for what he's done to me, to you, to both our marriages. And I want Claire to understand that actions have consequences. What kind of consequences? Patricia's smile was sharp, the kind that involve federal investigations and criminal charges. Emma grinned. I like her. There's more, Patricia continued. Derek's been using company resources for personal business. The real estate firm he works for has strict policies about that. If they found out, he'd be fired. I finished. At minimum, they might also pursue civil charges for misuse of company property. How do you know all this? Because I'm married to him. I see the credit card statements, the bank records, the late-night phone calls. I know where he goes and what he does. I just never had a reason to use the information before, and now you do. Now I do. We spent the next hour going through Patricia's evidence. It was comprehensive and damning. Derek had been running a shadow business for years, skimming cash from deals, underreporting income, using company resources for personal gain. It was enough to destroy him professionally and financially. When does this all come out? I asked. The IRS investigation starts Monday. Derek doesn't know yet, but he'll figure it out when they freeze his accounts. And Claire's going to find out that her knight in shining armor is actually a criminal who's about to lose everything. Emma was practically bouncing in her seat. This is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. There's one more thing, Patricia said. Derek's been telling people that he's leaving me for Claire, that they're going to get married as soon as both divorces are final. So I thought Claire should know that Derek's already married to someone else. I stared at her. What? Derek never divorced his first wife. They separated 8 years ago, but the divorce was never finalized. Legally, Derek's still married to his first wife, which means his marriage to me was never valid. Emma's mouth fell open. He's a bigamist. Technically, yes, which means Claire's planning to marry a man who's already married to 2 other women. Does Claire know this? Not yet, but she's about to. Patricia closed her tablet and finished her coffee. Gentlemen, I think we're going to work very well together. What's the plan? The plan is to let Derek and Claire think they're winning right up until the moment their world collapses. They want to destroy 2 marriages. Fine, but they're going to pay the full price for it. After Patricia left, Emma and I sat in the coffee shop trying to process everything we'd learned. Jake, this is bigger than we thought. I know Derek's not just a cheater, he's a criminal. And Claire's mixed up in it, whether she knows it or not. Emma stirred her coffee thoughtfully. Do you think she knows about the money, the tax evasion? Honestly, I don't think Claire cares where the money comes from as long as someone else is paying for her good time. That's harsh. That's honest. You've seen how she lives, Emma. The clothes, the jewelry, the expensive dinners. She's never asked where Derek gets the money for all that. Maybe she didn't want to know. Maybe. Or maybe she just didn't care. My phone buzzed with a text from Claire. Can we please talk? I miss you. I showed Emma the message. What are you going to say? Nothing. Let her wonder. Jake, can I ask you something? Sure. Do you still want to save your marriage? I thought about it. 2 days ago, I would have said yes. Even after finding out about the affair, part of me wanted to find a way to make it work. And now I know too much about Derek, about the money, about who Claire really is. You can't unknow things, Emma. So it's over. It was over the moment she decided to cheat. I just didn't realize it yet. Emma nodded. For what it's worth, I think you're making the right choice, even though it means destroying your sister. My sister destroyed herself. We're just making sure she faces the consequences. My phone rang. Claire again. Answer it, Emma said. Let's see what she wants. Hello, Claire. Jake, thank God I've been trying to reach you all day. I've been busy. We need to talk about us, about our future. What future? Our future together. I know I made a mistake, but we can work through this. Claire, I'm curious about something. What? How much money has Derek spent on you over the past few months? Silence. The hotels, the restaurants, the trips, the jewelry. How much do you think that all cost? I don't know. Why does it matter? It matters because Derek's been paying for your affair with money he stole. That's not true. Derek's been cheating on his taxes for years, Claire. Hiding income, setting up fake accounts, using company resources for personal business. The IRS is investigating him. More silence. Claire, you're lying. Am I? When's the last time Derek showed you a pay-up? When's the last time he explained where all that cash comes from? Derek makes good money. Derek makes good money that he doesn't report to the government, which means everyone who benefits from that money is potentially liable. You're trying to scare me. I'm trying to warn you, but if you don't want to listen, that's your choice. I hung up and looked at Emma. Think she believed me? I think she's about to have a very interesting conversation with Derek. Good. Let them figure out how to handle a federal investigation together. Emma grinned. You know what I like about this plan? What? We don't have to do anything. We just have to wait and watch Derek and Claire destroy themselves. Patricia's doing the heavy lifting. Patricia's been planning this for years. We just gave her the perfect opportunity to pull the trigger. My phone buzzed with another text from Claire. Derek says, You're lying about the money. I showed Emma. What should I say? Nothing. Let her find out on Monday when the IRS freezes Derek's accounts. You're enjoying this. Emma's smile was wicked. I really am. Is that wrong? Probably, but I'm enjoying it too. Good. Claire and Derek thought they could hurt people without consequences. Now they get to learn how wrong they were. Sunday passed quietly. No calls from Claire, no texts from Derek. The calm before the storm. Monday morning, I was drinking coffee and reading the news when Patricia called. Jake, it's Patricia. The IRS just executed search warrants on Derek's office and his home already. They move fast when they have solid evidence. Derek's in federal custody. What about Claire? Claire's not charged with anything yet, but they're going to want to talk to her. She's been the recipient of money from Derek's illegal activities. Is she in trouble? That depends on what she knew and when she knew it. But either way, her fairy tale romance just turned into a nightmare. I hung up and called Emma. Emma, it's happening. Derek's been arrested already. That was fast. Patricia wasn't kidding around. She had everything documented. What about Claire? She's about to find out that her boyfriend is a federal criminal. Oh, this is going to be good. An hour later, Claire called. Jake, something terrible has happened. What's wrong? Derek's been arrested. The FBI raided his office. They're saying he's been cheating on his taxes. That's terrible, Claire. You knew, didn't you? You knew this was going to happen. I suspected Derek wasn't as honest as he pretended to be. They want to talk to me. The FBI wants to talk to me about Derek. What are you going to tell them? I don't know. I don't know anything about his business, but you know about the money he spent on you. Silence. Claire, you need to get a lawyer. A good one. I can't afford a lawyer. Then you better hope Derek can afford one for both of you. Oh, wait. They froze his accounts, didn't they? Jake, please, I need help. You should have thought about that before you decided to blow up our marriage for a criminal. I didn't know he was a criminal. You didn't want to know. There's a difference. I hung up and sat back in my chair. It was over. Not just my marriage, but Claw's fantasy about starting fresh with Derek. The man she'd destroyed her marriage for was going to prison, and she was going to be left with nothing. My phone rang again. Emma, Jake, turn on Channel 7. Derek's arrest is on the news. I turned on the TV just in time to see Derek being led out of his office in handcuffs. The reporter was talking about tax evasion, unreported income, and a multi-year federal investigation. The suspect is accused of hiding over $300,000 in income over the past 4 years. The reporter said federal agents also seized luxury items believed to have been purchased with the unreported funds. $300,000. Derek hadn't just been cheating on his taxes, he'd been running a major criminal enterprise. The phone rang. Claire again. This time I didn't answer. The next few days passed in a blur of phone calls, lawyers, and reporters. Derek's arrest had made the local news, and Claire's name came up as someone the FBI wanted to interview. She called me a dozen times, but I let them all go to voicemail. Emma, meanwhile, was having the time of her life. Jake, you should see the gossip at the law firm. Everyone's talking about Derek and Claire. Apparently, the FBI has records of every hotel room, every restaurant, every piece of jewelry Derek bought for her. Is she in legal trouble? My boss says probably not, unless they can prove she knew the money was illegal. But her reputation is destroyed. Everyone in town knows she was sleeping with a criminal. What about Derek? Derek's looking at serious prison time, tax evasion, fraud, money laundering. His lawyer's trying to work out a plea deal. And Patricia? Emma grinned. Patricia's filing for divorce and claiming she's the victim of Derek's crimes. She's going to get everything he has left after the government takes their share. Poetic justice, the best kind. Wednesday afternoon, Claire showed up at my house. She looked terrible. No makeup, wrinkled clothes, hair that hadn't been washed in days. This was not the polished, confident woman who'd been sneaking around with Derek. Jake, we need to talk. I don't think we do. Please. 5 minutes. Against my better judgment, I let her in. We sat in the living room, the same room where Emma and I had confronted her less than a week ago. I'm sorry, she said. For which part? All of it? The affair, the lies, the way I treated you. Okay, that's it, just... Okay, what do you want me to say, Claire? I want you to say you'll forgive me. I want you to say we can work through this. I looked at her, really looked at her. She was scared, desperate, alone. Derek was gone. Her reputation was destroyed, and she was facing the possibility of federal charges. Claire, do you know why Derek had so much money to spend on you? He was successful. He was a criminal. He stole that money from the government, and he used it to buy your affection. I didn't know. You didn't want to know when a man you barely knew started spending thousands of dollars on you. You never asked where the money came from. I thought he was just generous. You thought he was an easy mark. Claire flinched. That's not fair. Fair? You want to talk about fair? You destroyed our marriage for a man who's going to prison. You used your sister as an alibi for months. You lied to me, to your family, to everyone who cared about you. And now you want me to feel sorry for you because your criminal boyfriend got arrested. Jake, I made a mistake. You made a series of choices, bad choices, selfish choices, and now you get to live with the consequences. So that's it. 15 years of marriage and you're just throwing it away. I'm not throwing anything away. You already did that. Claire started crying. Real tears. Not the manipulative kind she'd used during arguments over the years. I don't have anywhere to go. That's not my problem. I can't afford a lawyer. Also not my problem. Jake, please, I'm scared. For a moment, I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. Then I remembered the photos, the lies, the months of deception. You should have been scared before you decided to cheat on me with a criminal. I didn't know he was a criminal, but you knew he was married. You knew you were married. You knew what you were doing was wrong, and you did it anyway. Claire wiped her eyes. What do you want from me? I don't want anything from you, Claire. I want you to sign the divorce papers, divide up our assets according to what the court decides, and then I want you to leave me alone. And then what? Then you figure out how to rebuild your life without me. I don't know how to do that. You should have thought about that before you blew up our marriage. Claire stood up, her brief moment of vulnerability replaced by familiar anger. You're enjoying this, aren't you? Seeing me suffer. I'm not enjoying your suffering, Claire, but I'm not going to rescue you from the consequences of your own choices. Emma's turned you against me. Emma showed me who you really are. There's a difference. She's always been jealous of me. Emma's been trying to protect me from you. I just wasn't smart enough to listen. Claire headed for the door, then turned back one last time. You'll regret this, Jake. When you're alone and miserable, you'll regret throwing away our marriage. Maybe. But I'll never regret getting away from a woman who could lie to my face for months and then ask me to feel sorry for her when it all fell apart. She slammed the door behind her. I watched through the window as she got into her car. Not the new BMW she'd been driving a few weeks ago, but an old Honda that had seen better days. Even her car was a reminder of how quickly her fantasy life had collapsed. My phone rang. Emma, was that Claire's car I just saw leaving? Yeah, she came by to ask for forgiveness and money. What did you tell her? I told her to sign the divorce papers and leave me alone. How did she take it? About as well as you'd expect. She's angry, scared, and looking for someone to blame. Anyone but herself, of course. Jake, there's something else you should know. What now? Patricia called me this morning. Derek's lawyer is trying to work out a plea deal, and part of it involves Derek testifying about his business practices. So Derek's been keeping records of everyone who knew about his illegal activities, including Claire. I sat down heavily. What does that mean? It means Derek might throw Claire under the bus to save himself. If he can convince the prosecutor that Claire knew about the illegal money, it might reduce his sentence. But Claire didn't know. You and I believe that, but Derek has receipts, bank records, text messages. He could make it look like Claire was a willing participant. Jesus. Patricia thinks Derek's going to claim that Claire was blackmailing him, threatening to expose his crimes unless he kept paying for her lifestyle. That's ridiculous. That's criminal defense strategy. Blame everyone else. I thought about Claire, alone and scared, facing the possibility of federal charges because she'd trusted the wrong man. Emma, maybe I should... No. What? I know what you're thinking. You're thinking maybe you should help her, get her a lawyer, stand by her during the investigation. She's still my wife. She's still the woman who cheated on you for months and lied about it. Jake, I know you're a good man. I know you want to help people, even people who've hurt you. But Claire made her choices. She chose Derek over you. Lies over truth, fantasy over reality. Now she gets to live with those choices. But if Derek throws her under the bus, then she'll learn that criminals aren't trustworthy, which is something she should have figured out before she started sleeping with one. Emma was right, but it didn't make me feel any better. What kind of man does this make me? Abandoning my wife when she needs help. It makes you a man who refuses to be manipulated by someone who's already betrayed you once. Jake, if you help Claire now, what message does that send? That she can treat you however she wants and you'll still be there to clean up her messes? I suppose. Look, if Claire is innocent of any criminal wrongdoing, the truth will come out. If she's not innocent, then she deserves whatever happens to her. And if Derek lies about her involvement, then she'll need a good lawyer. But that lawyer doesn't have to be paid for by the man she cheated on. I knew Emma was right, but it still felt wrong. 15 years of marriage had to count for something, even if Claire had thrown it all away. Emma, can I ask you something? Sure. Do you think I'm being too harsh? I think you're being exactly as harsh as you need to be. Claire counted on your good nature, Jake. She counted on the fact that you'd forgive her, take care of her, rescue her from her own bad decisions. She's probably shocked that you're not riding to her rescue right now. Maybe I should be. Maybe you should be protecting yourself instead of the woman who spent months lying to your face. The phone was quiet for a moment. Jake, can I tell you something? Always. I'm proud of you. For what? For finally standing up for yourself, for finally refusing to be Claw's safety net. It's about time. It doesn't feel good. The right thing usually doesn't feel good in the moment, but you'll be glad you did it. Will I ask me in a year? After I hung up with Emma, I sat in my empty house thinking about choices and consequences. Claire had made her choices, and now she was living with the results. I was making mine. The next morning, I signed the divorce papers. 2 weeks later, Derek's plea hearing made the front page of the local newspaper. He'd agreed to cooperate with federal investigators in exchange for a reduced sentence, and part of that cooperation involved providing detailed records of his financial crimes. The article mentioned that several individuals who had received money or gifts from Derek were being investigated for possible involvement in his schemes. Claire's name wasn't mentioned specifically, but everyone in town knew who they were talking about. Emma called me that afternoon. Jake, have you seen the paper? Yeah. How's Claire handling it? Not well. She's hired a lawyer, apparently borrowed money from her parents to pay for it. Good. She'll need one. There's more. Patricia called me this morning. Derek's been telling the FBI that Claire knew about the illegal money. Of course he has. But here's the interesting part. Derek doesn't have any real evidence that Claire knew. No emails, no text messages, no recorded conversations. He's basically just claiming she must have known because of how much money he spent on her. So it's his word against hers. Exactly, and Derek's word isn't worth much these days. What does Patricia think will happen? She thinks the FBI will interview Claire, decide there's no evidence of criminal intent, and drop any investigation. Derek's just trying to spread the blame around to make himself look less guilty. And then Claire gets to live with the fact that everyone in town knows she was sleeping with a criminal. But she probably won't go to prison for it. That's something, I guess. Jake, there's one more thing. What? Derek's wife, his first wife, the one he never divorced, she's suing him for bigamy and fraud. Jesus. How many wives does this guy have? Apparently 3 if you count Claire as a future wife, but none of the marriages after the first one are legally valid. So Patricia was never actually married to Derek. Nope. Which means she's not entitled to any of his assets in a divorce settlement, but she turned him into the IRS. She sure did, and now she's not getting anything for it. That's got to hurt. Patricia says it was worth it just to watch Derek's world burn. I had to admire Patricia's commitment to revenge, even if it cost her financially. Emma, can I ask you something? Sure. Do you ever feel bad about what we did to Claire? Emma was quiet for a moment. Do you? Sometimes when I think about her scared and alone facing federal investigators, I feel bad. And then, and then I remember the lies, the cheating, the months of deception. Jake. Claire made her choices. She chose to have an affair. She chose to lie about it. She chose to get involved with a criminal. We didn't make those choices for her. I know. Do you? Because you sound like you're second-guessing yourself. Maybe I am. Don't. Claire is facing the natural consequences of her own actions. If she'd been honest with you, if she'd asked for a divorce instead of cheating, if she'd chosen to have an affair with someone who wasn't a criminal, things would be different. But they're not different. No, they're not. And that's Claw's fault, not yours. Emma was right, but it didn't make me feel any better about watching my wife of 15 years face potential criminal charges. Emma, what if I'm wrong? What if Claire deserves a second chance? Jake, how many second chances did you give her? How many times did you overlook the late nights, the new clothes, the changed behavior? How many times did you choose to trust her instead of your own instincts? A lot. And what did she do with those chances? She used them to cheat on me, so why would this time be different? I didn't have an answer for that. The next day, Claire called me. Jake, I need to see you. It's important. Claire, we've said everything we need to say. Please, I'm begging you. Something in her voice made me agree to meet her. We met at a diner across town, away from the places where we might run into people we knew. Claire looked even worse than she had the week before. She'd lost weight. Her clothes hung loose on her frame, and there were dark circles under her eyes. Thank you for coming, she said. What do you want, Claire? I want to tell you the truth about everything. I already know the truth. No, you don't. You know about the affair, but you don't know why. I don't care why. Yes, you do. You've always cared about people's motivations, their reasons for doing things. It's one of the things I loved about you. Loved. Past tense. Claire flinched. Jake, I need you to understand something. The affair with Derek, it wasn't about love. It wasn't even about intimacy. Then what was it about? It was about feeling important, feeling desired, feeling like I mattered. You mattered to me, did I? When was the last time you looked at me the way Derek looked at me? When was the last time you made me feel beautiful or interesting or worth pursuing? I stared at her. So this is my fault? No, the affair is my fault. But the problems in our marriage, those were both our fault. Claire, we had problems because you were having an affair, not the other way around. We had problems long before Derek. We'd been living like roommates for years. When was the last time we went on a real date? When was the last time we talked about something other than bills and schedules and household maintenance? I thought about it and realized she had a point. Our marriage had become routine, comfortable, but not passionate. That doesn't justify what you did. No, it doesn't. But it explains it. Okay? You felt neglected, so you decided to cheat. Is that supposed to make me feel better? It's supposed to make you understand that I'm not a monster. I'm just a woman who made terrible choices when she felt invisible in her own marriage, and Derek made you feel visible. Derek made me feel alive. For the first time in years, I felt like someone wanted me, not just needed me. I wanted you, Claire. No, you didn't. You wanted the idea of me. You wanted a wife who would take care of the house and show up to family events and not cause problems. But you didn't want me. That's not true. When was the last time you asked me about my dreams, Jake? When was the last time you asked me what I wanted out of life? I couldn't answer that because I couldn't remember. Claire, even if everything you're saying is true, it doesn't change what happened. You cheated on me for months. You lied to my face every day. You used your sister as an alibi. I know, and I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't fix this. What would fix it? Nothing. It's too late. Claire started crying. Jake, I'm scared. The FBI wants to interview me again. Derek's lawyer is claiming I knew about the money. I could go to prison. Did you know? No. I swear I didn't know Derek was stealing money, but you knew something was off. Nobody has that much cash without questions. I didn't want to ask questions. I wanted to enjoy feeling special. And now you're paying the price for willful ignorance. Will you help me? How I need character references for my lawyer. People who can testify that I'm not the kind of person who would knowingly get involved in criminal activity. Claire, I can't do that. Why not? Because I don't know if it's true. 6 months ago, I would have sworn you weren't the kind of person who would cheat on her husband. I was wrong about that. So you won't help me? I can't help you. There's a difference. Claire wiped her eyes. What about Emma? Will she help? You'll have to ask Emma. She won't even take my calls. Can you blame her? Jake, I know I don't deserve your help, but we were married for 15 years. That has to count for something. It does count for something. It counts for a lot, but it's not enough to overcome what you did. So that's it. You're just going to let me face this alone? You're not facing this alone. You have a lawyer, you have your parents, you have friends. I don't have friends anymore. Everyone knows about the affair. That's the price of small-town scandals. Jake, please, I'm begging you. Claire, I can't save you from this. Even if I wanted to, I can't. You made choices that led you here, and now you have to deal with the consequences. Even if those consequences include prison, even then. Claire stared at me for a long moment. I don't know who you are anymore. I'm the same person I've always been. You just never bothered to find out who that was. The Jake I married would have helped me. The Jake you married was naive enough to think his wife would never cheat on him. That Jake learned some hard lessons. Claire stood up to leave. I hope you're happy with the man you've become. I'm not happy, Claire, but I'm honest, which is more than I can say for you. She left without another word. I sat in the diner for another hour thinking about our conversation. Maybe she was right. Maybe I had taken her for granted. Maybe I had stopped seeing her as a person and started seeing her as just a wife. But that didn't justify what she'd done. Emma called me that evening. How did it go with Claire? She wants me to be a character witness for her legal defense. Are you going to do it? No. Good. Emma, can I ask you something? Always. Do you think I'm being too hard on her? Do you think you're being too hard on her? I don't know. She made some points about our marriage, about how we'd grown apart. Jake, every marriage goes through rough patches. That doesn't give people permission to cheat. I know. Do you? Because you sound like you're starting to blame yourself for Claw's affair. Maybe I am. Don't. Claire had choices. She could have talked to you about her feelings. She could have suggested marriage counseling. She could have asked for a divorce. Instead, she chose to sneak around behind your back with a criminal. When you put it like that, that's exactly how it is. Jake, Claire is trying to manipulate you one last time. She's trying to make you feel guilty so you'll help her out of the mess she created. And if I don't help her, then she'll figure out how to help herself, or she won't. But either way, it won't be your problem. You really think I'm doing the right thing? I think you're finally putting yourself first instead of cleaning up Claire's messes. And it's about time. The next morning, I got a call from Claire's lawyer. Mr. Morrison, this is David Chen. I represent your wife in her federal case. What can I do for you? Mrs. Morrison has suggested that you might be willing to provide a character reference for her defense. Mrs. Morrison was wrong. I see. May I ask why? Because I don't know my wife's character as well as I thought I did. Mr. Morrison, I understand you're going through a difficult divorce. But Mr. Chen, my wife spent months lying to me about an affair with a criminal. She used her sister as an alibi. She deceived her family and friends, and she showed a complete disregard for the consequences of her actions. I can't in good conscience testify about her character because I'm not sure what her character is. I understand. Thank you for your time. He hung up. 10 minutes later, Claire called. Jake, what did you tell my lawyer? I told him the truth. You told him you wouldn't help me. I told him I couldn't testify about your character because I don't know what your character is. That's cruel. That's honest. Jake, please. I hung up. Emma called an hour later. Claire's lawyer just called me. Let me guess. He wants you to be a character witness too. Yep, I told him the same thing you did. How did he take it? About as well as you'd expect. He seemed to think we were being vindictive. Maybe we are. Maybe we're being realistic. Jake, Claire made her bed. Now she gets to lie in it, even if that bed is in a federal prison. Even then. 2 days later, the local newspaper ran another story about Derek's case. This time they mentioned that several individuals who had received gifts from Derek were cooperating with the investigation and were not expected to face charges. Claire's name was specifically mentioned as someone who was cooperating with authorities. I called Emma. Did you see the paper? Yeah. Looks like Claire's off the hook. How do you feel about that? Relieved, actually. I didn't want to see her go to prison, even after everything. Even after everything, I wanted her to face consequences for the affair, for the lies, for the way she treated you. But prison seemed like too much. So justice was served. Justice was served. Claire lost her marriage, her reputation, her boyfriend, and her fantasy of starting over with Derek's money. That's enough. And Derek's looking at 5 years in federal prison. That's probably not enough, but it's something. What about Patricia? Patricia's moving to another state and starting over. She says she's done with men for a while. Can't blame her. Nope. I hung up and sat in my quiet house thinking about endings. My marriage was over. Claire's affair was exposed. Derek was going to prison. Patricia was starting fresh somewhere else. And me. I was alone, but I was free. Free from lies, free from deception, free from a woman who had shown me that 15 years of marriage meant less to her than a few months of excitement with a criminal. My phone rang one last time. Claire, Jake, I saw the paper. I'm not going to be charged. I'm glad. Are you? Yes. I didn't want you to go to prison, Claire, but you didn't want to help me avoid it either. No, I didn't. I guess that tells me everything I need to know about where we stand. I guess it does. The divorce papers are finalized. I'm moving back in with my parents until I can figure out what to do next. Good luck with that, Jake. Yeah. Do you hate me? I thought about it. No, I don't hate you. Do you love me? I love the woman I thought I married. I don't know who you are. Maybe someday you'll figure it out. Maybe. But it won't matter by then. Why not? Because by then you'll be someone else's problem. Claire was quiet for a moment. I hope you find someone who makes you happy. I hope you find someone who makes you honest. She hung up. I sat in my empty house looking at the spaces where Claire's belongings used to be. Tomorrow I would start figuring out how to build a new life. Tonight I was just going to enjoy the silence. My phone buzzed with a text from Emma. Dinner tomorrow. My treat. We're celebrating. Celebrating what? I texted back. The fact that you finally stopped letting people walk all over you. I smiled and typed back. Sounds good, but I'm buying. It's the least I can do for the woman who saved me from my own marriage. Deal. But next time you decide to trust a cheating wife, I'm charging you consultant fees. Next time I decide to trust a cheating wife, you have my permission to have me committed. I'll hold you to that. I put my phone away and looked around my empty house one more time. It was quiet, peaceful, and honest. After months of lies and deception, honest felt pretty good. Tomorrow I would start over. Tonight I was just going to enjoy being